All right, so I'm going to speak on a trend that's going on right now because, again, I get inspired to talk about things when I can't ignore them anymore. And right now, there's an unignorable wave of people who I need to speak about. As you know, I released a book, published a book in 2018, Minimize Injury, Maximize Performance. It was targeting and marketed and PR'd towards the youth sports parent. Because there is a youth sports injury epidemic in all sports across the board, pediatric ACLs, concussions, and this, you name it. And these elbow surgeries that were happening, where the surgery is called Tommy John surgery. Why? Because it was the first one experimentally done on a man, my dad, where they replaced a torn ligament with a tendon from the other part of his body. He came back, rehabbed on his own, pitched 14 seasons trying to figure it out, and did successfully, so they renamed the surgery after him. But now that sounds cool. Even Webster's dictionary has taken in the Tommy John surgery as a definable term in a dictionary because it's so friggin' common. But it's mostly happening in teenagers, and that was the alarming trend. And so I was asked, do I have a solution? Of course I have a solution. But we marketed it towards youth and sports and the parents. But the principles inside, the solution inside, the 4-part solution, rethink, replenish, rebuild, recover, is for all human beings. And those who have gotten my book and don't even have kids, they've applied it to their lives and have exponentially changed, devouring the material. But what I'm noticing is there's people who have gotten it and they're like, okay, and they flip right to the training section, or they flip past the test and they go into the most advanced training section. It's set up specifically so that if you try to get ahead of yourself, you're not going to make it. And it's going to punch back at you because true training is designed that way. And I had the help of Vladimir Chirgus to do the programming. If you haven't heard of him, he's at Vlad's gym in Illinois, and we did a podcast with him and Cassie, and we've done 3 podcasts, I believe. So listen to those. He's a phenomenal resource and an amazing human being who knows his shit. But he did the programming for the book. And again, it was set up for all populations. It was set up to progress as you evolved. It was set up so that, honestly, each plan you could do for 3 months to forever and stay within each plan, the beginner, intermediate, advanced. It's for everybody. There's so much information, from nutrition to recovery to tech to these things here, to why water doesn't hydrate, why not jogging, why not stretching, why all the things that I've been talking about have been upsetting you for so long. All those are in there. It's 300 pages, 98 different sources. That can be very overwhelming, especially when you go into the acknowledgement section. You see the names of the people I mentioned in there and you dive into their material. So what I've seen, though, are the people who have sat on my book and they're having trouble trying to pull out the information or trying to make sense of it because they're treating it like another plan, another program. I'm going to dive into your program and see how this goes. It's not a dive into, it's a completely drop everything you've ever done before and change everything. It's all in. It's not taste it and see how it goes and go. It's the rethink, replenish, rebuild, recover. Like, you have to go in that order. It's not, I'm all in on the rebuild, but I'm going to replenish over here and do whatever. And then the replenish isn't really that important, but I'm just going to do the rebuild. And then the recovery when it's important. Like, it's a all encompassing. You have to bring in all these elements. And it's why people get so frustrated. They're like, why don't you just tell us what to do? Because that's not how it is. That's not what Dr. Cassie does, and why she's the most successful and most principled and most effective and truest medical doctor that I know, which is why she's the only name in medicine I talk about. And keeps proving it to herself, first of all, and then patients as well. But it's not just a here's the plan, here's the program, go. It has to be manageable, malleable, imprintable, impressionable, to where somebody can put their fingerprint onto any type of guideline or principled approach. And so this is what I talk about all the time in my Zooms. But something I've seen are the people who do the Zoom sessions with me, or an information session of 30 or 60 minutes, who also have the book. There's this big aha moment, and I didn't realize it till recently, but they're like, I've had your book, I've tore it apart, and they'll show me. They've got like highlights and little stickers and little memory cues and folded pages and all this stuff. And then they meet with me one-on-one, and that's when they're like, holy shit, this totally makes sense now. I've been reading your book. I've read it 3 or 4 times. That's 300 pages, 3 or 4 times with tons of material in there. And it literally just sank up to where it just made sense. And that's been happening a lot. Or the people will work with me who have had my book. Then they'll go back into the book after having a session with me. And they're like, this is what you were talking about. Yeah. Plus, I've evolved immensely since the book was published and have polished and thrown out and recarved and forged and changed a lot of things since. It would make sense to do a new edition, but the new edition is me. The new edition is every day, and I'm constantly having the edition. The edition's for you or whoever works with me. But that's the big thing that I'm seeing is this trend where we have the book, yes. We do the Zooms, yes. The people who do both, those are the ones that I've seen where they're just like, holy shit, this totally makes sense. I get what you were talking about. I'm gone. And now there's no limit to what they can do, you can do. And I foresaw this because there's only so much you can do in a book, and there's only so much you're going to get of the 2018 version of me. And if I'm doing things correctly by me, then my 2022 version should be way different than the 2018 version, and that's what it is. But that's something that I'm noticing more and more, and it inspires me and amazes me is one, the combination of the two. We're devouring the material that I've provided, even if it's podcasts, even if it's YouTube videos, and then information sessions or a Zoom eval, one and done plan. One and done plan meaning you will get a plan that you are able to enter yourself in and constantly change and evolve, and the plan keeps punching back. Very similar to the plans in the book, just not as specific because I couldn't work with an individual. It had to be general guidelines. And I brought in Vladimir Chaguz to do my programming for the book because he's the other name in training and fitness and health that I mentioned that I trust, who is fantastic. He did the programming. We had to set it up in a way that was general enough so that each participant could enter it and figure out who they were within it, but separated from beginner, intermediate, advanced so much so that you couldn't just jump, because people have jumped to the advanced. Like, I'm advanced, jump to the advanced, and they get hosed. They just get owned by themselves. And then the people who get it really haven't gone past intermediate because it's infinite. Intermediate is infinite. There is no limit to that one there. So is beginner and so it is advanced. But we had to make it in a way that the general person could apply these guidelines with a limitless opportunity. And it had to be safe. And that's why I put my plans on with Zoom as well. I have to give somebody a plan so that they can apply maximum intention, repeatable, in the safety of their home or wherever they're performing this, because movement and training sessions are all day, every day, to be able to put these inputs all day, every day. And to be maximal, to push as hard as we could and fail a number of times, but not do damage to where we get injured. That's very challenging for a lot of people. So the plans have to express or be able to allow that expression. And so again, I just wanted to convey that there is something going on where it's the book, the information session, or the Zoom, and the combination of the two, or the Zoom and the podcast, or the book and the like syncing it all up. There's a reason I've provided the information in the order that I have, in the way that I have, and continuing to change that information and not throw it out because these are principles, but sharpen them because I'm testing them every day anyway in myself. I'm constantly challenging them and trying to see what truth is going to be proven back to me so that then I can convey it to somebody else. Constantly experimenting and constantly trying new things, as are Vladi and as is Cassie, by far. Another reason why they're the only two names that I trust in health and medicine is because they're constantly sharpening themselves. And they live and die by what they sort of sell, so to speak, because it works. And they've pushed the limits to see So that's how they can come from a place of truth rather than a place of product or a place of management company or a place of continuing education or a pitch. But yeah, so if you've got my book and you're stuck, there is something to unstick you. If we've done a Zoom or we've done an information session and you're stuck, there's the book combo. Drop the whole thing with this book that it's for youth, that it's for sports, that it's for parents. It's for everybody. There's a reason we went to parents for youth, because the child is the expression of exactly what's going on from the top. We go to the parents, kid's going to change. That's just how it works. Whether people have applied that or not, I don't know. But the book is for all humans. It was marketed because the Tommy John surgery, named after my dad, was happening in youth sports more than any other population. There was a solution, a 4-part solution: rethink, replenish, rebuild, recover. Applied. Could we do it for that population? Of course. But it's for all humans. Could I specialize in youth athletes? Yeah. What's different from what you do with youth athletes to what you do with a 74-year-old? Nothing. It's what I tell you. It's what's marketed. So that's the thing. We kind of shot ourselves in the foot. I get it. I got it. I know why we did that. But again, it is not get past that it's for youth or that it's for sports or you have to be a parent. I've been reached out by people who don't have kids who got the book and have made massive connections to it. It's hardy. It's 300 pages. It's 98 sources. So that's where the people who get a one-on-one with me are like, holy shit, I totally see. I literally have had people be like, I was listening to your podcast. I've listened to all your videos. I thought you were crazy. I thought you were a little aggressive. Then I got your book and I'm like, my God, this is where it's all coming from. And then they did a Zoom or they did an information session. They're like, holy shit, that's what you were talking about. Trying my best to get people to understand it as much as I can so you can go and take it. Yes, there's a guide, but go. It has to be something that you can run with full speed and be able to repeat this every single day within the privacy of you, the sovereignty of you. Because again, as I've said, we don't go to facilities to heal. It's got to be an all day, every single step of every single breath, of every single thought, of every single feeling, of every single meal, of every single interaction. Has to be in that medicinal realm if we're looking to change our lives to the caliber that we dream. So, all right, hope I clear that up. If not, welcome to confusion. Confusion's good. Keeps you on your toes.